Okay, and welcome back, students who are taking Math for Business and Finance and Math Applications. We're working on the Chapter 22 word problems, and these are the optional problems, the optional assignments. In the last video, we stopped on the word problem number 5, so on this video, we are working on number 6 and seeing how far we can go through all of those optional word problems. So let me jump to the slide here and get my pen. Right, and it says here, the weighted average of a particular box of crackers is 24.5 ounces with a standard deviation of 0.8 ounces. The weights of the boxes are normally distributed. What percentage of boxes A weigh more than 22.9 ounces and B weigh less than 23.7 ounces? Okay, remember, it's telling us that it's normally distributed, meaning it sits under the bell curve, right? Terrible looking bell curve, but it is what it is, okay? So yeah, it sits under the bell curve because that's what normal distribution looks like. And remember, this is your mean right in the middle, and it's telling us that the weight of a particular box of crackers is 24.5 ounces with a standard deviation of 0.8 ounces. So what that means is this is 24.5 ounces, okay? And remember that you have one standard deviation, and you have 2 standard deviations. You can have 3 standard deviations, okay? But each standard deviation is 0.8 ounces, equals 1 standard deviation. So it says the weight of the box is normally distributed. What percentage of the boxes weigh more than 22.9 ounces? Okay. Now remember, this here also goes above and below that mean, okay? 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations. So if I have, if for A, they weigh more than 22.9 ounces, okay? So if the mean is 24.5, the difference between the two is 1.6 ounces. And if 0.8 ounces is 1 standard deviation, well, I divide that 1.6 by 0.8, and that gives me 2 standard deviations, right? Now that I know how many standard deviations from the mean, right, let me jump over to the next slide here to make it a little bit more graphical. Okay, and I'm just going to use this same slide again for not only problems 5, but 6 and 7 also. So here's our mean at 24.5 ounces, okay? And we've determined that we're at 2 standard deviations, which is right here, okay? At 29, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm gonna get there at 22.9. 22.9 ounces, okay? So what does that mean? Well, all of this area here up to the mean covers 50%, right? Because remember, everything under the bell curve is 100%. And if 22.9 is 2 standard deviations, that means it's 50% plus the 1 standard deviation of 34% plus 1 standard deviation of 13.5%. Okay, and that gives you 97.5% is your answer as to the percentage of boxes that weighs more than 22.9 ounces. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly, briefly go back over this again. And if you have any questions, watch it again until it sinks in, or if you just don't understand the concept, feel free to telephone and speak with an instructor. Okay, emailing is not going to be a good way of doing this. Right? And again, especially if you're taking if you're in any business curriculum, make sure you're getting this because you will see this again in future subjects, especially when you do take business statistics. All right, so where were we at? Okay, let me erase some of this here and just quickly go back over it. So we know it's normally distributed, okay? and we know that the average weight is the mean, right, is 24.5 ounces. And it says we want to know how much weigh more than 22.9. Okay, so the difference between the two is 1.6 ounces. Okay, and a standard deviation is 0.8 ounces. So we take the 1.6 and we divide by 0.8 in order to find out how many standard deviations, and that's 2 standard deviations. Now, when we come to our slide here, let me erase all of it. Okay, remember that everything underneath the bell curve is 100%, okay? And if our mean, which is the average, splits it in half, that means we're 50% in this direction, 50% below the mean, and 50% above the mean, okay? So if our mean is 24.5 ounces, okay, and we know that we're looking at the weight of 22.9 ounces, okay, so that means everything above the mean, this 50%, okay, and we know we're at 2 standard deviations, so 1 standard deviation is 34%, and 2 standard deviations is 13.5%, and that means when you add those up, 97.5% of the boxes weigh more than 22.9 ounces. Okay. Right, now for B, it says, well, they weigh less than, it says, okay, so B here, let me change colors here. So B, it says weigh less than 23.7. So again, we're taking 24.5 and we're subtracting 23.7 and we get 0.8. And since 1 standard deviation is 0.8, right, we're dividing by 0.8, and that gives us 1 standard deviation. So when we come here, we're sitting there going, okay, we want to find out how many weigh less than 23.7. All right. Well, you can take, since everything, since the way it's, you have to be careful about how it's being asked, okay? Because with the previous one where we're saying weigh more than, okay, I'm going to change this to a green pen. Remember, we're talking about, for the 22.9, we're talking about weighing more than. So we're talking about all of this here, okay? But now for this one, it's saying, the question says weighs less than the 23.7. Okay, so if this is 23.7, it's asking us how much does this area. Okay, so how much is less than 23.7? Well, in order to find that, all right, let me go back to blue. Remember, everything under the curve is 100%. Okay, and we still know, all right, we're going to subtract. We still know that greater than the mean is 50%. And we know that 1 standard deviation here is 34%. Okay, so we have to add those two together and we get 84%. And when we subtract the 84 from 100, we end up with 16%. That's the area that's covered right here, less than the 23.7. Right? So let me erase all of that. Just go back over that real quick so it's a little bit cleaner, because I was doing both problems. Okay. Remember, for the 22.9, we were being asked greater than. Okay. Okay, so that included everything here under the curve. Okay, and that's why we took the 50 plus 34 plus the 13.5 because it's all greater than. Okay, that's what the question is asking. But now for this problem, for the less than, you have to read the problem, right? So we still know this is 24.5, and we know that one standard deviation is 23.7. Okay, but the question is asking less than. Okay, well, less than, this is 0 over here, right? So less than is all this area in here. Well, how do we get this area? Now, sure, this here is, we're looking at this and saying, okay, this here is 13.5, but that doesn't include this area here. So how do we figure that out? Well, if we know how much this area is, all under here, okay, and we find that out because remember, this is 50% and this is 34%, so 50 plus 34 is 84%. So that's 84% above the 23.7. And just like in our pie chart, here's our pie chart, or this concept from before. Again, we're using the same concept again and again and again. Everything in that circle is 100%. Well, if we know that this whole area is 84%, then the difference between the two has to make that 16%. Well, this is no different, except, instead of having a circle and cutting out slices of pizza, we have a bell curve, and we're saying that this whole area here, is 84%. Well, what's the difference? How much does this area have to be? Okay, well, it has to be 16% because 16 plus 84 is 100% of everything underneath the entire curve. Okay. All right. So if I'm finished with this particular problem, and if you don't understand something, definitely watch rewind and watch it again. And if you still don't understand something, feel free to telephone and speak with an instructor. But I'm going to move on to problem number 7 in the next video. All right. See you then.